Tony Stark was a tech genius, and his Iron Man suits are some of the most impressive technology seen in the MCU. Still, not everything the man has made has been perfect, and while all of his Iron Man suits are powerful pieces of equipment, they can't all be considered the best. Something has to be at the bottom, and these 7 suits of armor are the weakest Iron Man suits in the entire MCU. 7. The Mark VI. Tony built his 6th suit of armor to overcome the issue of palladium poisoning that was slowly killing him in Iron Man 2. To achieve this, he first had to invent a new element, which was no easy task. Of course, when you're talking about Tony Stark, pretty much anything is possible. When he succeeded in creating this replacement element, he designed a new suit to accommodate his upgraded arc reactor. The Mark VI represents a significant milestone in Tony's suit development. It's a classic suit made from assembled pieces of armor like his previous suits. Still, it came with a notable upgrade in power. Tony was able to use the Mark VI in his fight against Justin Hammer's drones, which wouldn't have been possible with something as weak as his Mark III. Later, he fought against Ivan Vanko in his armor, ultimately defeating him with the help of Rhodey. The Mark VI armor is definitely an improvement on Tony's earlier designs, but unfortunately, it was seriously damaged in his fight with Ivan Vanko, and as a result, he had to scrap the design and begin working on another one. Now, despite its short lifespan, the Mark VI was a formidable piece of hardware. It just so happens that it doesn't compare well when we think about the other Iron Man suits that Tony Stark has made. 6. Mark XIII. The Mark XIII was designed with one thing in mind: flight. The armor features a sleek design with features meant to improve maneuverability while in the air. To achieve this, Tony designed a new reactor, which was rectangular in shape. It provided the armor with more power than his previous suits ever did. To achieve his aerodynamically superior suit, Tony compromised the amount of armor used in the design. The suit was fully capable of advanced flight. It was faster and more maneuverable than his other suits of armor, but as we mentioned earlier, the thinner armor meant that he had less protection. The Mark XIII was utilized during the House Party Protocol in Iron Man 3, and it survived the fight to the very end. At that time, Tony initiated the Clean Slate Protocol, resulting in the suit's destruction. 5. The Mark III. The Mark III was the first fully capable suit of armor Tony designed. He built it right after the Mark II proved flying was possible and sustainable, but with numerous upgrades. He engineered it to leave the planet's atmosphere, which came in handy when he used it while fighting the Warmonger. The Mark III was the armor Tony took to the Middle East as well, to fight the Ten Rings members who originally took him captive. It was a highly capable suit, which made appearances in every Iron Man movie, but ultimately it was destroyed when a terrorist attack took out Tony's mansion in Iron Man 3. Now, on its own, the Mark III is a powerful suit of armor, but like most of Tony's inventions, it represents a single step in his quest to design the perfect suit. And because of that, it lacks some of the refinements and capabilities found in later ones. Additionally, because it required palladium, it was very dangerous to operate. 4. The Mark XXXVIII, or Igor. Tony created his Mark XXXVIII armor as a heavy lifting suit capable of lifting and holding up a great deal of mass. The suit was never worn by Tony in the MCU, but it appears in Iron Man 3 when Tony orders Jarvis to initiate the House Party Protocol. At that point, Igor and 34 other suits of armor flew out to the Roxxon oil rig to support Tony as he fought against Aldrich Killian. Igor is outfitted with many of the same pieces of equipment Tony puts into his other suits. Still, he put more emphasis on the armor and strength magnification. The Mark XXXVIII can lift as much as 100 tons, which came in handy when the oil rig began to collapse. Tony ordered it to stabilize the rig and hold it in place, which it was able to do pretty easily. When Tony initiated the Clean Slate Protocol, Igor was the only armor that wasn't destroyed. This was entirely due to the fact that it was supporting the oil rig. Ultimately, Igor is an incredibly powerful suit of armor, but because it is so purpose-built, it's weak compared to some of Tony's more weaponized designs. 3. The Mark II. The Mark II suit was designed by Tony as soon as he returned from captivity. The Mark II is similar to his first suit of armor, as it's silver and features the same classic look. Of course, it's much sleeker and nowhere near as bulky as the larger armor he created to escape from the Ten Rings. While the Mark II is above and beyond better than the first suit of armor Tony made, it had some limitations. It was designed primarily with flight in mind, since Tony wanted to perfect his repulsor technology to make flight less dangerous and more efficient. He managed to get flying right after some painful trial and error, but the suit wasn't able to fly outside the atmosphere. When it did, It froze over with ice, rendering it inert. He solved the problem with Mark III though, leaving the Mark II in his garage as little more than a prototype. Eventually, James Rhodey Rhodes stole it for the US Air Force, and with some tweaks, it became the first war machine armor. 2. The Mark V, the suitcase suit. Tony showed off his innovative skills at engineering portability with his Mark V suit in Iron Man 2. The suit was built into a suitcase carried by Happy Hogan, and it was certainly effective. When Tony was attacked by Ivan Vanko, aka Whiplash, he was able to get into the suit and defend himself. That quick fight led to Vanko's defeat, proving the armor's effectiveness. And seeing as the armor was so effective, you might not expect to find it on a list of Tony's weakest suits. But while it's undoubtedly a lifesaver, the suit had some very serious limitations. It had far less armor than his other suits, making it easier to move about but offering much less protection. Essentially, the Mark V is a base-level Iron Man suit. It's good in a pinch, but Tony has engineered far more efficient and protective suits in the MCU. Number 1. The Mark I. After Tony was captured by mercenaries and members of the Ten Rings, he was forced to recreate one of the deadliest weapons, the Jericho missile, in a cave. With only spare parts from his captured munitions and the help of fellow captive Ho Yinsen, Tony improvised and tricked his captors. He created an arc reactor, primarily using it to keep his heart safe from metal shrapnel that was slowly inching its way through to his chest. The reactor also had a secondary purpose. The miniature reactor was designed to power a suit of armor for a short time, and that's precisely what he and Yinsen did. They built a formidable suit of armor which made it possible for Stark to escape. He equipped it with weapons and jets, rendering it capable of flight. After destroying as much as he could, he flew it to safety, leaving the armor in ruins. The Mark I was certainly powerful, but it was little more than a prototype. Tony Stark refined the design significantly, developing a much sleeker and safer version. The Mark I wasn't a bad suit of armor by any stretch of the imagination, but compared to all the rest, it's obviously the weakest of them all.